Blackmailer? Meine Vermutung ist nämlich, die anderen Briefe, Ron hat doch gesagt, dass er einmal Briefe bekommen hat, in denen stand, wenn du das und das nicht klaust, dann bla bla bla. Meine Vermutung wäre ja, dass diese anderen Briefe von Look at Me kamen. Nur dieser neueste, in dem es um den roten Diamanten geht, der kam eben nicht von Look at Me an Ron, sondern von Kane Bullard an Look at Me, der ihn dann einfach bei Ron hingelegt hat, um sich das zunutze zu machen. Das ist jetzt bestimmt wieder falsch. Look at Me was a blackmailer.
Objection.
Hey now, isn't that a little different from what you've been saying? You said that Kane Bullard was the one blackmailing Look at Me. Are you saying that Atme was blackmailing someone else on top of that? You have to admit, that does sound a little odd. It's not odd. It's the only thing that makes any sense. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Look at Me. But Ron Delight was also being blackmailed by a certain someone. So did you start receiving blackmail letters after this incident? Yes, just a few days after the Tear of Emanon heist. After that, I started getting the plans in the mail. I received plans from some very kind person. Incredibly detailed plans.
Detailed plans? In which case, that would mean that Ron Delight was actually Master Moskwa.
That is what we were claiming. Someone else came up with the plans and had Mr. Delight steal his targets for him. And that someone was none other than Look at Me.
Shh, silence. Now I see it's all becoming clear.
What is?
When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Careless, with a tendency to jump to conclusions. Am I wrong?
How did you know?
You say that I Look at Me was blackmailing Ron Delight, in which case I would naturally know all about his relation to Mask de Masque.
Well, yes.
Ron Delight started receiving plans from his second crime onwards, correct? Which means I learned of his identity when he committed that first crime.
Good point. You certainly couldn't have blackmailed him otherwise.
In that case, let's see some hot, bitter evidence. During the first crime, how did Look at Me know that Ron Delight was Master Masque?
Na, das hier, denke ich. I think I see it.
See what?
When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Gets into lots of mischief, trying to be the center of attention.
What do you mean?
This newspaper clipping. It has a picture of you and Ron Delight in his guard uniform. It seems that Master Moskwa didn't just disappear into thin air. He just took off his outfit and hid it in the bucket.
That sounds far too stupid to be true.
Correct. With tricks like that, he couldn't fool a baby, let alone an ace detective. And that's when you figured it out, Mr. Adme. That's when you learned that under his mask, Master Moskwa was really Ron Delight.
It looked like he was... I can't believe it. He was just a slimy... Ey, nicht so schnell. What a floor. Time to pass himself off as an ace detective. Why you? How dare you expose me like that? Why, I mean, I've never blackmailed anyone in my life. I'm a famous and proud ace detective and also Master Moskwa. Why can't you understand that?
I'm afraid you are neither a proud thief nor an ace detective. You're a blackmailer and a murderer. That is your true identity.
Why you?
Oh, good was... It was the big mouth of you beautiful fools. I say none of you can compare to my genius. You're just jealous. Go on, desecrate me, Camaro God. Batman birthers. Yeah.
It would seem we finally arrived at the real answer.
That was quite a performance by Mr. Adme.
Bailiff, please prepare a cell for Mr. Adme.
Oh. War ja klar. War zu einfach.
The hammer that strikes too fast has no time to aim.
What do you mean? I'm already prepared to deliver my ruling.
Allow me to say one thing. I will be the one to judge. You don't get much more in your face than that. It appears that your claws weren't quite sharp enough, Mr. Tried. What do you mean? It's true that you've proven a lot of things. Things like Luke Atme was a filthy blackmailer, and that he wasn't a lowly tailor the night of the murder. It's right, that's why he's the one who killed Mr. Bull. But there's still one thing you have yet to prove. What's that? Just because he wasn't at the warehouse doesn't mean he was at the murder scene. Therefore, if you can't prove that this pitiful excuse for a man was at KB Security, then I don't see how a verdict can be delivered. No way! Order in the court. Well, Mr. Wright. This is it. This is the final round. I've got to prove that Atme was at Mr. Buller's office on that night. But can you really prove that? Schauen wir mal, was wir so haben. Nee. Hat, glaube ich, auch nichts damit zu tun. Da steht auch nichts Interessantes drin. Warehouse Camera. Ich habe eine Idee. Ich habe eine Idee. Dann gucken wir erstmal weiter. Okay, ich frage mich gerade, warum das jetzt eigentlich verbogen ist. Ich meine, hat er da einfach in dem Keller damit mal kurz gegen die Wand geschlagen, damit er später erzählen kann, er wäre auf den Kopf gehauen worden? Ihm wäre auf den Kopf gehauen worden? Nee, das nicht. Oder er hat es mitgenommen dahin. Das wäre allerdings ein bisschen auffällig, oder? Ja, okay, ich habe eine Idee. Wisst ihr, was ich meine? That's long enough, Mr. Tried. I want to hear your answer. That night, Luke Atme was at KB Security and the defense would like to save... Can prove it. The defense can prove it with evidence. Are you sure? Don't you worry, I'll watch over you as you break down and fall to pieces. Very well then, let's see this proof. Prove that Luke Atme was at KB Security that night. This is the proof. It's true, that is very important. However, I'm not so foolish as to think that will pass for evidence here. Mr. Tried, it's time you learned the true flavor of life. The flavor from my special Godot blend number 49. Well, Mr. Wright? It's bitter. Very bitter. Come on, Nick. Don't give up now. Ich hätte halt gesagt, das Ding ist ja von irgendjemandem ohne... irgendjemand mit Handschuh gedrückt worden, aber gut, das hätte halt auch Ron Delight sein können. Ich hätte gehofft, das bringt uns vielleicht irgendwie weiter und dann muss man noch was anderes dazu machen. Aber sonst fällt mir gerade gar nichts ein. Vielleicht muss ich stattdessen das da präsentieren. Ansonsten sage ich erstmal, ich kann es nicht beweisen. Ja, okay. Sieht nicht gut aus. Dann fällt mir nichts ein. Euch offenbar auch nicht, also machen wir weiter so. Es sei denn, jemand hat auch eine Idee. Just as I thought. Oh, but if we hear more of Detective Atme's testimony... Unfortunately, that's as far as you go, Mr. Tried. What do you mean? I won't allow for any more testimony. That's what I mean. What? Have you forgotten? Luke Atme's here after we interrupted his own trial. And you have failed to prove that he committed the murder. I think it's time for this witness to return to his own trial. And face his guilty verdict as Mas de Masque. No. Well, also, lawyer, it seems that love wins out in the end after all. I am the ace detective as well as Mas de Masque. My verdict will verify that. Justice Ron Delights will verify that he's the true murderer. I declare that with the full force of my ace detectiveness. Well,
Order in the court. That's enough deliberation over this witness.
can't believe this. At this rate, Ron is... Don't give up now, Nick. We still have tomorrow. We can look for more evidence and... By then it'll be too late. Huh? Why? Na, weil der andere dann schon verurteilt ist.
Double jeopardy. One of the basic rules of any court of law.
Double jeopardy?
Should a defendant be tried and found innocent in court, the defendant cannot be tried again for the same crime. This is a fundamental rule of all courts, and it applies to this witness as much as it applies to anyone else. Mr. Atlee will be found guilty in a matter of minutes. Guilty as mas de masque, which means he will be innocent as far as the murder of Kane Bullard is concerned.
No way.
The fact that you were unable to prove Mr. Atlee's guilt of that crime here means that he will never again be tried as Kane Bullard's murderer.
Wow. Now there's nothing I can possibly do to win, even if Ron is proclaimed to be innocent. The real killer, Luke Atlee, will go free.
You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today, and as long as there is no more testimony, I'm afraid I have to declare that there will be no further questioning of this witness. Are there any objections? Then I hereby end the cross-examination of Luke Atlee.
I think I see it. Your Honor, when you were a child, this is what was on your report card every year. Has poor hearing and often makes mistakes as a result.
How did you...
Phoenix, raise your head up high. Have you forgotten what I used to tell you? A lawyer is someone who smiles no matter how bad it gets.
Yeah, but...
That voice, no way. Long time no see, Phoenix. Bitte. Hat die jetzt irgendeine Idee? Das wäre gerade echt toll.
Mia!
This is the true power of the Kurain channeling technique. I know that it's really Maya who's standing before me, but right now she's my mentor, Mia Fey. Now, let's do this. But... Mia, gerade rechtzeitig, um mich verlieren zu sehen. Ich leg da mal wieder den Kopf in die Hände. Oh, hey, Justin. But there's nothing more we can do, Mia. Without any more testimony, I can't cross-examine. Not yet. The testimony's not over yet.
What do you mean?
Your Honor, just now you said something very interesting. You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today.
Yes, that's true, but...
Unfortunately, Your Honor, you're forgetting something. Earlier, after the last cross-examination, this witness made a number of remarks. Well, now, Sir Lawyer, it seems that love wins out in the end after all. I am the ace detective as well as Master Masco. My verdict will verify that. Justice Ron Delights will verify that he's the true murderer. I declare that with the full force of my ace detectiveness.
Yes, but these comments appear to have no importance whatsoever.
Very well, then we shall prove their importance via cross-examination. At any rate, as long as the witness has made these remarks, we, the defense, assert outright our right to question them. Is that all right with you, prosecutor?
Is something the matter, Mr. Godot? Nothing.
Oh, Sir Lawyer, it looks like you're one step too late. If you think such falsehoods will do anything to me, look at...
Let's hear it. It's true that the witness made some remarks. So then, let's hear this last bit of cross-examination.
Mr. Godot, why don't you...
Very well then, Mr. Look at Me. I'm going to allow the defense to cross-examine your earlier remarks.
The defense would like to hear why you declared the defendant to be the true murderer.
So please, give us one last bit of testimony.
Phoenix, this is it. This is our absolute last chance. Yes, Chief. Könnte ich vielleicht einen Refill von meiner Energie haben? Last Testimony. Okay, hören wir es uns erstmal an. It is true that I was not at Lawley Taylor. Also, let me get a cough drop real quick. Oh, scheiße, ist leer. It's true that I was not at Lawley Taylor. I had to leave to see about another vitally important job request. I had known about the date beforehand, so I had this photograph readied. My brilliant deduction was what informed me that the true culprit was Ron Delight. Ich glaube, das würde ich gerne mal pressen. Thanks to the keycard and wallet, it was abundantly clear that he was there. I was also able to make a deduction from the buzzer, which only sounded once. The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? The victim would have left prints if he sounded it, which means the killer sounded it. Mr. Delight was wearing his Master Masco outfit, which is why he left no prints. Meine Fresse, der sagt so viel. And the blackmail letter, the victim likely just mistook the color of the jewel. Zwadi! Therefore, all the evidence points to that poor boy. This testimony actually seems to hold up pretty well.
The witness's earlier remarks did not appear to have been hastily prepared. All of his points have been explained, and none of them seem to contradict anything.
But of course.
But how did you know about the emergency buzzer?
The police investigation documents went directly through me, and I always look over all the documents. It's elementary, Sir Lawyer.
Are you going to make even more trouble for us, Sir Lawyer? I will not allow any of your usual shenanigans, Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor.
We cannot postpone Luke Atmey's trial any longer. This is your last chance.
Hang on a sec, just one chance?
It seems that the party's about to begin.
Well, Phoenix, there isn't any evidence that contradicts with that testimony. So it would seem.
What do you mean, so it would seem?
Listen, Phoenix, pointing out contradictions doesn't always mean you have to present evidence, does it? At any rate, this is our last chance. If you can't point out a case-breaking contradiction, you lose. That's all there is to it.
Cup number 17, the last cup. It seems like the time has come to put an end to this trial.
I have to find a fatal contradiction in this testimony. And I need to point it out without presenting evidence. Which means all I can do is find the contradictory remark and press it. Remember, you only get one chance.
Very well then, Mr. Wright, please begin your final cross-examination.
Oh Gott, er hat auch noch so viel gesagt. Erstmal speichern. True that I was not a Lowly Taylor. I had to leave to see about another vitally important job request. I had known about the day beforehand, so I had this photograph readied. Well, deduction was informed me that the true culprit was Ron Delight. Thanks to the key card and wallet. Woher weiß der das? Das mit dem Portemonnaie kommt mir komisch vor. Ich meine, ich habe jetzt nicht mehr die ganze bisherige Gerichtsverhandlung auswendig im Kopf. Kann sein, dass wir darüber gesprochen haben und er das daher weiß, aber das wäre eine Idee. Also able to make a deduction from the buzzer, which only sounded once. Button didn't have any fingerprints on it. Fingerprints if he signed it, which means the killer sounded it. Moment, das. Das ist doch noch viel eher. Woher weiß er denn, dass das Ron Delight mit dem Outfit da war? Das hat Ron Delight mal erzählt, aber ich glaube, da war Dingsbums schon nicht mehr da. Ich probiere das. Mr. Atme, about this last remark.
Objection.
You still don't get it, do you, Tried? This isn't the time to be pressing the witness on every little statement. I'm afraid you're the one who still doesn't get it, Mr. Goodall. What? Mr. Atme, it seems you have finally admitted that you were in the CEO's office on the night of the murder. How can you say that? Let's review your testimony, shall we, Mr. Atme? The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? Mr. Delight was wearing his Master Masquer outfit, is that correct? Indeed, that's what I said. My deductions are absolutely foolproof. More like your deductions prove that you're a fool. I'm sorry, whatever do you mean? For some reason, I'm starting to get really thirsty. When exactly did we learn the fact that Ron Delight was dressed as Master Masquer when he went to the scene of the crime? Das war erst während der heutigen Verhandlung, als er als Mörder angeklagt war. Und da war Atme ja schon in einem anderen Gerichtssaal. It was just a few hours ago, back when my sixth cub was looking at me with a cold stare. Huh? Oh, did I forget to mention it before? I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until now. That's right. The defendant had yet to tell anyone else this fact before this morning. Therefore, the only people who should know this are those who have been watching this trial. Do you understand now, Detective Atme? There's no way that you should have known about that. You were in the next courtroom being tried as Master Masquer. So then enlighten us. Just how did you know about that piece of information? Well...
Objection.
Come on, this detective must have known about it. He probably had plenty of chances to find out beforehand. And it's those chances that I want to discuss next. That night, Mr. Delight was wearing his Master Masquer outfit. There's one and only one way for Detective Atme to have found it out. Only one? One way, you say? Please recall, if you will, Mr. Delight's testimony. When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. For a second, my client witnessed the real killer. But Mr. Delight never saw his attacker, so there's no way to tell whether or not the real killer was looking at me. It's with that statement that I'll turn this case on its head. Just what are you implying? Mr. Delight saw the real killer, correct? Now if you turn that statement around, it stands to reason that the real killer had also seen Ron Delight. Impossible! Detective Atme, you saw Master Masquer at the murder scene that night. You saw him when you killed Kane Bullard and assaulted Ron Delight. That was the only way you could have known what Ron was wearing. Was ist denn jetzt los? Take a good look, everyone! Unable to find a rival worthy of my genius, I was forced to create one by myself. Here I am, the tragic clown. That's the same line you gave yesterday. But I think there's a little more meaning behind it this time. What an awfully complicated incident. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atme, who was in turn blackmailing Ron Delight. And upon killing his blackmailer, Luke Atme tried to frame Ron Delight. He then claimed to be guilty as Master Masquer in order to escape his true crime. And to that end, he came up with this plan, to use the double Jeopardy rule when making his alibi. At any rate, it would seem we've finally found the truth. Excuse me? I came perilously close to besmirching the record of an innocent young man. Das sagst du jetzt schon zum dritten Mal, oder? Besmirching him with the title of murderer. Oh, I didn't realize you were there. Why wouldn't he be? About the verdict. I know. You never committed any murder. That's right. I'm so glad you understand that, but I really am Master Masquer. Huh? So, thanks to that trial yesterday, I'm innocent now, right? What was it you said? Double Jeopardy?
Now that you mention it.
Welche Ironie. Er ist eigentlich der wahre Master Masker, aber wegen dem...
I've been careless.
Careless? What do you think, Mia? As the defendant says, the rule of double jeopardy is absolute. A defendant can never be tried twice for a crime in which he was once found innocent. Then, Master Masker is really innocent? It would seem so. For now. For now.
Now then, this court finds the defendant.
Wow, das war... Boy, this is really lucky. Wait, this isn't so good after all. You see, the thing is, I still am Master Masker after all. 3:35 Uhr. You did it, Phoenix. Thanks, Mia. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Yeah, it's because Maya doesn't call on me much these days. Oh? I'm just joking, Phoenix. Don't take everything so seriously. But on the other hand, Maya, she seems kind of torn these days. You mean about becoming the master of the Kurain channeling school? Becoming the master means saying goodbye to our mother. Misty Faye, right? Ja, weil Mia, nicht Mia, Maya kann ja nur die neue Meisterin oder Anführerin oder was auch immer werden, wenn die bisher verschwundene Misty Faye als offiziell tot erklärt wird. Watch over her, will you, Phoenix? Of course. Well then, see you around. Mia. Mr. Wright. I don't know what to say. Congratulations, Mr. Delight. Thank you so much. No, wait. Nothing really matters anymore, though, now that all of this has happened. Come on, just be happy already. Maya. You've been cleared of the murder charges and got off as Master Masker to boot. But in exchange, I lost everything. Huh? What do you mean? Stealing security information from KB Security, becoming Master Masker. I did it all for one reason, for her. You mean your wife, Desiree? She hates criminals more than anything. Come to think of it, she was once held hostage by some robbers, wasn't she? She always said how she hated sneaky criminals. I knew that, but once I got fired from KB Security and lost all the money I had, she wouldn't have any reason to stay with me. I thought she would leave me for sure. So that's why you became Master Masker? Yes, but it's all over now. A broken bowl can never be put back together. That's not true, right, Nick? Right. Really? Can we go back to the way things were? You'll be fine, and Nick can prove it. You can? I kind of wish you would check with me first. Mr. Delight, even if a bowl is broken, there's always a way to put it back together. Yep. The sacred urn. Dizzy was the one who found this. Desiree, your wife, she's always believed in you, Ron. That's why you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about anything. Oh, there you are. Miss Delight. You did it, Ronnie. You're innocent. I'm so happy. Thank you. I appreciate that, but, I suppose you don't want anything more to do with me, do you? Ronnie, why didn't you talk to me about what was going on? I had no idea you had quit KB Security. I never imagined that you were really Master Masker either. Miss Delight, what are you going to do now that you know? You're not going to really leave him, are you? Come on, it's obvious, isn't it? How would I ever let a wonderful man like him get away? Not sure where you get the wonderful man part from, but okay. After all, my bike is really fast. So fast that there's no way he could ever get away. Now you're sounding like a stalker. But didn't you say that you hated criminals? Huh? Oh, I only hate people who act all cowardly and sneaky. Like that detective. I see. My Ronnie went and declared his crimes before he committed them, like a man. I just love a man who's so chivalrous. Chivalrous oder chivalrous, glaube ich. Chivalrous? Chivalrous. I knew I was right about you. Every day I spent with you is filled with thrills and excitement. Desi. Desiree, you really do love Ron, don't you? Nicky boy. Yes, I'm really glad I asked you to defend my Ronnie. Thank you so much. I'll never forget what you've done for us. Oh, well, take care of yourself. You too, Nicky boy. Ooh, I can feel my face going red. Mr. Nick, Mystic Maya, congratulations! Talk about bad timing. Mr. Nick, how could you? With another man's wife in front of Mystic Maya! No, I'll never forgive you, never ever! Die wird nicht so lächeln, wenn sie die Rechnung kriegt. So just as the case came to a close, so too did my consciousness. Beaten unconscious by a little girl. Ron said a broken bowl can never be put back together, but I know that's not true. I mean, just look. Here's a perfect example of one that was put back together even better than before. Aw, what a nice picture. A brand new episode has been added.